The learning intentions includes to answer the question, what is price? And discuss the importance of pricing in today's fast changing environment. To identify three major pricing strategies and discuss the importance of understanding customer value perceptions, company costs, cost-based pricing, and competitor strategies, and looking at competitors in terms of their strategies and when setting the prices. The learning outcomes also include, to describe the major strategies for pricing new products and to explain how companies find a set of prices that maximizes the profits from the total product mix and price adjustment strategies. So what is price? Price is the amount of money charged for the product or service, or the sum of all the values that customers exchange for the benefits of having or using the product or service. So it's a discussion question here. So how does a company like Starbucks set their prices and price their products? What do you think? We'll come back to that question in class. So major pricing strategies here. We can see that obviously we need to take into consideration various factors. We need to take into consideration factors like, what are the product costs? The product costs in terms of production, the materials. So we're talking about the variable costs in terms of the unit cost of production, but also we need to take into consideration the fixed costs. So fixed costs plus variable costs gives you the total costs, and we'll be looking at later the break-even point where the total variable units meets the total costs to break even at that quantity of products. And then we have to look at other factors including the competition and other external factors. So, what are the competitors and what are their pricing strategies? Because if we price it too high in a low market sector, then, maybe we'll be pricing ourselves out of the market, perhaps. We need to look at, the marketing strategy for your company in terms of segmentation, targeting, positioning, and also, then the value segmentation and the value proposition within the marketing strategy. Objectives and the marketing mix as well. The marketing mix, the standard marketing mix, the product, price, place and promotion, and then extended marketing mix, product, price, place, promotion, people, process and physical evidence. So, and then the nature of the market and demand. Likewise, we need to take into consideration customers' perceptions of value, price ceiling, known demand above this price. And you may even want to consider in terms of price perceptions in terms of the type of market it's in. If it's in a monopoly, if it's in a monopoly type marketplace, then sometimes you have no price to pay for this because there are no other alternatives. So these are the factors that need to be taken into consideration. So major pricing strategies, one of them includes the customer value-based pricing. Now, the value-based pricing uses the buyer's perception of value rather than the seller's costs. So we're saying to ourselves, well, what are the expectations of the customers in terms of what they think this should cost? And if we're looking at value-based pricing, is customer driven as opposed to cost-based pricing, which is product driven. So here we're trying to set to match the perceived value to what the customers expect. So here we can see the two major pricing strategies, cost-based versus value-based pricing. So in terms of cost-based pricing, the main focus here is on the product, the design of the product, cost-based pricing. And here we're looking at determining the product costs. When we talk about the product costs, we're talking about the total fixed costs and the variable costs related to that product item. And then based on that, we set the price based on the cost in terms of determining how much margin that someone wants or the company wants to make for a set of products. And then you have to convince the buyers of the product values. But on the value-based pricing, here it's the other way around. Here you base it and assess it on the customer's needs and values and their perceptions. So once you've done your market research and you know what the expectations are of customers to buy that specific product range, then you set the target prices to match customer perceived value rather than basing it on the costs. Then obviously the next stage is to determine the costs that can be incurred. and then design the product to deliver desired value at the target price. So here you're saying to yourself, you design the product based on what you know you can sell it for, so then you know what your total cost can be, and then what type of margin you're going to make in terms of the difference between the total cost and the expected target price from those customers where you've done your research. So then you'll be able to work out how much margin you're making in terms of value-based pricing. Now, if we look at customer value-based pricing, good value-based pricing is offering just the right combination of quality and good service at a fair price. Now, we've got two types of we can view customer-based value-based pricing in terms of either an everyday low pricing or an everyday high pricing. If we think about the everyday low pricing, then EDLP, this involves charging a constant everyday low price with few or no temporary price discounts. And if you go into Lidl and you see a lot of products there, you can see constantly everyday low pricing. In terms of if you take core product items like bread and milk, I remember when Lidl was selling 4 pints of a green top semi-skimmed milk for £1, involving everyday low pricing for key core products. And at the time, Tesco's was selling the same milk, green top, 4 pints semi-skimmed milk for £1.29. So we could see a great deal of low price being offered for this product there. But in fact, they were actually using that as a loss leader at that time, because it cost them about £1 to actually buy. So they weren't actually making any money on that. What they were doing was they were trying to give the lowest price so that people would come into Lidl to buy the milk. But when you come in to buy the milk as a loss leader, as a pricing strategy, then people would buy other products. But generally speaking, you can see everyday low pricing if we look at Lidl and Aldi's prices in comparison to other supermarket retail prices like Tesco's, Asda and Marks and Spencer's. And this is representative in their success in terms of Aldi and Lidl taking 10% of Tesco's market share over the last 10 years, and that has been obvious to see and documented. If you think about customer value-based pricing in terms of high-low prices here, this involves charging higher prices on an everyday basis, but running frequent promotions to lower prices temporarily on selected items. So if you think about the definition of a promotion, the definition of a promotion is a temporary additional value at a discount, within a specific time period. So a temporary addition of value for the definition of a promotion. So this gives the perceived value that this product is on offer and you're actually gaining more value. So even though it's a low price, and then with small or many more discounts, it seems a better value for you to buy. And even if we look at Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola, for their products, they have a certain price for their 2 litre, 1.5 litre, 1 litre and cans, but then they do loads of promotions throughout the year. They might buy, might have 2 1 litre bottles for £2, packaged together, temporary, for a 1 month period only. Or you might have 8 cans with 6 cans and an extra 2 cans additional to that promotional pack. And again, there are a variety of different offers that Coca-Cola do, running lower prices, but then a wide range of frequent promotional offers on different product lines of their different types. If it's Coca-Cola, Diet Coca-Cola, if it's Cherry Cola, and so on and so forth, and at different sizes. If it's a 2 litre, 1 litre, and so on and so forth. So customer value-based pricing, again, value-added pricing attaches value-added features and services to differentiate the company and offers, and thus their higher prices. So here you can have value added pricing to customer value based pricing, where you have additional features and functionality, so which differentiates your product and therefore allowing you to set higher prices. I can remember the product that I was marketing for Metro Products, and this was a steering wheel immobilizer that went on the steering wheel, so that when or if a thief tried to steal your car, they couldn't steal it because they had this product on. So this bar was case hardened, and later on we decided to make a through hardened bar. The difference is the case was hardened, um, but if you had a through hardened steel bar, then the process is a lot more timely and is a lot more expensive, so it adds some more cost to the product. But nevertheless, we decided to go through a through hardened steel bar to go on the product, as opposed to a case hardened steel bar. And because of that added feature on, in comparison to other competitors in the marketplace which didn't have a through hardened steel bar, this allowed us to sell it at $49.99 as opposed to our other product line, which was priced at $29.99 with a case hardened steel bar. So again, if you attach additional features to it, then you can set higher prices in comparison to the competition. Now we need to look at cost-based pricing. Now if we look at cost-based pricing, this sets prices based on the costs for producing, distributing and selling the product, plus a fair rate of return for all the effort and risk, because you're in business as a private in the private sector, either as a sole trader, a partnership, a private limited company, a public limited company, to make profit. You're not in the charitable sector or social enterprise sector. You're there to actually make a profit. So therefore, the extra rate of return for the effort and the risk. Cost-based pricing, you need to take into consideration both fixed costs and variable costs. So fixed costs are the costs that do not vary with production or the sales level, and these include things like the rent, heat, interest, executive salaries. So these need to be attributed to a proportion anyway in terms of the cost of the product lines. And then later on, if you think about pricing as well, this comes back to marginal pricing and absorption costing within the profit and loss account. But we're not really going to go into too much detail in terms of marginal costing and absorption costing, attributing costs to product lines within the profit and loss account. So we also need to take into consideration with cost-based pricing the variable costs, and variable costs vary directly with the level of production, which includes raw materials and packaging, because the more quantities that you require, then obviously the more raw materials you're going to incur in terms of costs, and the more packaging you're going to cost, and the more costs to actually put it all together is going to vary depending upon the units and the number of units that you need. But the good thing is, usually you can get economies of scale. So the greater, normally up to a certain level, the production levels, you can actually get reduced variable costs because of the increase in the number that you're producing. So cost-based pricing, the total costs are the sum of the fixed costs and the variable costs for any given level of production, and it's really determining what the total costs are to eventually working out what the break-even point is for the number of units that you need to sell at a certain retail price to then meet the total fixed costs and variable costs, so that your break-even point. Because after your break-even point, then your expected sales values, and what potentially they are, then potentially what your selling price could be at different price points, which would obviously impact upon the demand. The higher the price, economies of scale, the lower the demand. The lower the price, the higher the demand. But we'll come back onto that in a little bit more detail. So cost-based pricing here, in terms of cost behavior in a fixed size plant, we're talking about the cost per unit kind of like decreases as the quantity increases. And then cost behavior over different size plants, depending upon the size of the plant, generally speaking, again, as the quantities increase in terms of production, the overall costs per unit up to a certain level will decrease. So again, if we look at here, this is exactly what we were talking about, cost per unit as a function of the accumulated production, the experience curve. So the cost per unit, over a period of time, for 100,000 units is, around $10, and then for 800,000 units it's around $6. So, you get more economies of scale on and better prices for the raw materials that you're using, because you can buy in bigger bulk, so you can negotiate bigger discounts, but also the learning experience in terms of production, putting these together, finding more efficient and effective ways of doing things, so becoming quicker, more efficient, more productive, which reduces the overall variable costs as the number of units increase. So when we think about cost-based pricing adds a standard markup to the cost of the product. In terms of benefits, sellers are certain about costs, price competition is minimized, and buyers feel it is fair. The disadvantage is that it ignores the demand and competitors' prices. So again, there will be benefits and disadvantages as well as regards to cost-based pricing strategies. So here we can see the break-even point. The break-even point where the total costs are a summation of the fixed costs and the variable costs combined together, and where the total revenue meets the total cost, that is your break-even point in terms of the number of units that you need to sell in order to break even with the revenue to meet the total costs, including fixed and variable costs. So if we look at this example here in terms of cost-based pricing, we're saying to ourselves, we've got on the left-hand side, we've got the potential price that we're going to sell the product at, and then on the third column we've got the expected unit demand at that price. So we can see that we expect 71,000 units to be sold at $14. But 67,000 units at $16, and 60,000 units at $18, and 42,000 units at $20, and 23,000 units at $22. But as well as the expected demand, we need to take into consideration the fixed and variable costs, as we mentioned in the previous slide. So if we assume at the bottom of this table, we can see this is if we have £300,000, regardless of the price and regardless of the quantity, is 300,000. It's going to be fixed costs, and then the variable costs per unit is going to be $10. So now we can work out the total cost. So if we said that, for instance, the total costs for $14 expected at 71,000 units, so 71,000 units times 10 is $710,000, plus the fixed cost of $300,000 gives you just over $1,010,000. But then if we take the expected revenue, so we take the unit price of $14 times the expected demand of 71,000 units, which gives us 994,000. If we minus that from the total cost, we're making a loss of $16,000. So we do the same exercise in terms of the expected demand at set price retail prices. So again, we can see the $16, we hope to get 67,000 units, bringing in 1.72, 1,072,000 US dollars, and total cost being 970,000. So therefore, a profit of 102,000. Thus, the $16 is a better price because, one, you're lowering your total costs because the units are smaller, so your variable costs are less. but even though you're doing that, you're getting more revenue in terms of the selling price. And we can see in this example here, the optimum level is $18 selling price, where it's expected of 60,000 units, bringing in 1,080,000 US dollars with a total cost of 900,000. When you deduct the two, you have 180,000 US dollars profit. And here we're talking about gross profit. So again, you know, the optimum seems to be at this price here of $18, because you've actually lowered your total cost. Your total costs have lowered because the variable cost of $10 times 60,000 units is 600,000, plus the 300,000 fixed costs gives you 900,000, minus the expected demand by the selling price, which gives you 1,080,000 minus the 900,000 US dollars gives you 180,000 US dollars profit. So again, this is cost-based pricing, taking into consideration the the fixed costs, taking into consideration the variable costs, and taking into consideration the potential selling price and the expected demand at a given price, and then taking away the profit for those against the costs, which gives you then your cost-based pricing. Now we also have competition-based pricing, and competition-based pricing is setting prices based on competitor strategies, costs, prices, and market offering. If we think about pricing versus competitors, Caterpillar dominates the heavy equipment industry despite charging premium prices. Customers believe that Caterpillar give them a lot more value for the price over the lifetime of its machines. And Caterpillar, for heavy industry work, you want something that is of quality, something that's going to last, something that has a good reputation, something that has good service. So in this instance, because of the reputation and because of the positive experience that customers have had with this company, they tend to go with the premium pricing because they know it's going to be better for them. There's going to be less shutdowns, less problems with these premium products. So again, in this instance, we can see competitive-based pricing whereby Caterpillar set their prices above everyone else in the marketplace. Market skimming. Here, the strategy sets a high initial price to skim revenue layers from the market. And this is really based on product quality and image that supports the price, and buyers must want the product at that price. And even if we think about Apple, the latest Apple phone now, it will retail for about £1,000 in the UK. And how much does it really cost to manufacture an Apple iPhone? Well, it's reported to cost around £20, £50 to £20 to manufacture an Apple iPhone. But again, the product quality, the image, the desirability of it, the product, supports that price, and people would prefer to pay that price, skimming the top of the market. But later, as that product has been in the market for some time, maybe 6 months, then that pricing will come down for that product. So, and the buyers do want the product at that price. I think that buyers would be unhappy to pay £100 for it. They would prefer to pay £1,000 for it because the higher price, it has better perceived quality, and therefore the image of the company in terms of Apple matches that product and that price at that amount. We also have market penetration. Now, when we think about market penetration, this involves setting a low price for a new product in order to attract a large number of buyers and a large market share. So, penetration pricing, an entry level 8-foot blue and white Wavestorm surfboard at Costco sells for only $99. It's very, very cost effective. And it's a very, very good price, going in at a lower price, trying to get sales, trying to get volumes, and trying to get market penetration in terms of market share. There are obviously other product mix pricing strategies, and these will depend on the product line pricing, optional product pricing, captive product pricing, by-product pricing, and product bundle pricing. So if we think about the product line and the optional product pricing, well, the product line pricing takes into account the cost differences between products in their line, customer evaluations of the features, and competitors' prices. So again, what are the different prices in the different product lines for your product? So you won't just normally have one product, you can have a range of different products. And the difference between those product lines can see different prices. There may not just be a set price as one shoe fits all. And also taking into consideration competitors' prices. And then you have the optional product pricing, which takes into account optional or accessory products along with the main product. So now you've got accessory and additional products that fitting along to the main product. So you're now taking this into consideration to the overall pricing strategy of your main product. If we think about captive product pricing, this sets prices of products that must be used along with the main product. So, captive product pricing for Amazon, makes little profit on its Kindle readers and tablets, but they make up for the, close to cost prices through sales of content for its devices. So now sales through content of its devices will be more profitable than the actual Kindle and tablets that people actually pay for. We also have, product line and optional product pricing. So by-product pricing sets a price for byproducts in order to make the main product's price more competitive. So, you might set a higher price for a byproduct where the main product's price looks better value for money and looks more competitive. And then you also have product bundle pricing, combines several products at a reduced price. So you might go in and see one product, but then you might have 3 different products together at a bundle, all bundled together, and at an overall perceived discount. And then we have price adjustment strategies. Now the price adjustment strategies, here, discount and allowance pricing. Here, reducing prices to reward customers' responses, such as volume purchases, paying early, or promoting the product. We have segmented pricing, adjusting prices to allow for differences in customer products or locations. Again, if we think about Tesco's stores, they have many different types of stores. You have the Tesco Superstore, the Metro store, the Express store, the Tesco's online store, and the Tesco's Extra store. So you have different types of stores. But if you go into the Tesco's Express stores, well, normally they're combined with service stations, petrol stations like Tesco's with BP or others, and the products in there, the same products line you have in those express stores, are actually slightly higher than the individual lines in, say, a superstore, because you're actually paying for the convenience. So again, segmentation, pricing here, segmentation, you have different types of segmentation. You have behavioralistic segmentation, psychographic segmentation, demographic, and geographic segmentation. So here I'm talking about behavioralistic segmentation in terms of convenience for people, as in the Tesco's Express stores, where those goods are generally more expensive, but at the same time, your wife asks you to go out and get something. You go out into Tesco's Express store, you see it's more expensive. What do? Do you decide to buy it, or do you decide to walk home without it? Well, you're going to decide to buy it. You're going to pay for it because you don't want to upset your wife. You have psychological pricing, adjusting prices for psychological effect. $4.99, $2.99, £99. I said to my wife, "Oh, it's £100." No, she said, "No, it's £99." I said, "It's £100." She said, "It's £99." Psychological pricing. Promotional pricing, temporary reduced prices to spur short-term sales. So, the definition of a promotion is a temporary addition of value. A temporary addition of value. Again, you're adding value to something by reducing the price for a limited period of time. Geographical pricing, adjusting prices to account for the geographical location of customers. Absolutely. So sometimes one location maybe more expensive than another, and the type of people and the economic factors of those type of target customers in that location may mean that they can actually pay more, and they would expect to pay more. So you can actually set the prices slightly higher because of the market expectations in that geographical location. You also have dynamic pricing, adjusting prices continually to meet the characteristics and needs of the individual customers and situations. Again, dynamic pricing is good, but it's very difficult sometimes if you don't have the systems, processes, and practices in place to allow you to adopt dynamic pricing with your system, so it is done automatically and it's done with a strategy in mind. So again, you need to have the right hardware and software in order to implement dynamic pricing. But the good thing is, pricing is one of the 4 P's. You have the product, price, place, promotion. So price is one of the 4 P's, and price is the easiest of the P's to adjust and to change. And then you also have international pricing. Here, adjusting prices for international markets. Again, different international markets in terms of different customers and different customers' expectations may mean that you may have to lower or you can increase prices. Again, looking at international pricing. So these are additional price adjustments and areas that you may want to look at in terms of your overall pricing strategy. So thank you today from Mr. Tan. I hope that has helped.